So even though the tide seems to be going against me a little bit, I want to argue a little bit for Larry Lessig's platform and what he's doing.
Okay. Well, you don't have to. Let me put it this way. Let's save ourselves some time here. You don't have to argue for his platform. I got no problem with his platform. I have a problem with his strategy and his tactics.
Okay. All right. I think that I agree with you that it would be difficult to be able to carry off what he's trying to do. I think that he is trying to get into the debates, and if he is in the debates and this is going to become an issue because he's a one-issue candidate, that he would have a better response to this issue than I think that Sanders would or anyone else would. And as long as that draws publicity towards this issue, I think that that is a net positive.
And all right, I mean, he wants to get into the debates. And what makes you think that when he gets into that debate and he talks about this issue in those very brief moments, and he's up there, and with all due respect, I mean, if it's really just about getting in those debates, could he really not find somebody else to do that? I mean, let's be frank here. If this is just for him to get into that debate, and he gets up there, and he has a very professorial demeanor, and I presume that what he would do in those debates is, because he's not going to get a question about it, right? There's not going to be a question. I mean, maybe in one of the debates that somebody would offer that question, but in the main, nobody's going to ask that question. Okay. So he gets that question one debate, and then the rest of the time he's just going to talk about this one issue, right? Because he's not capable of addressing any of the other questions in that debate. So
I don't know that to be true. I don't know what
but he himself has said that he's going to resign. The only thing he wants to do is that, right? I mean, this is the way that he has done it. So all we're talking about is tactics and his strategy. Sure. And so he's going to get up there and he's going to say, what are you going to do about Iran? What are you going to do about housing policy? What are you going to do about Social Security? What are you going to do about a woman's right to choose? What are you going to do about the environment? What are you going to do about all these things? And he's going to say, he's going to say each time, none of this can be done. None of this can be done without campaign finance reform. And all I'm saying is that the idea that he couldn't find somebody better to step into that debate than him, I find a little preposterous. Just ask an actor to do it.
Sure, that may all be true, but that doesn't necessarily mean that the position that he's advocating for is adequately going to be taken up as a mantle by Sanders or by Hillary. I agree that
no, but you're just talking about the debates,
and I'm just saying by somebody.
I'm saying that the value of that being, of him using that platform to communicate it, I think the detriment to the potential detriment to Sanders' campaign is greater than the value that he'll get from that, because I think that if he gets into that debate and he does what he's planning to do, and I don't see how he addresses any other issues but that in that debate, I think he's going to come off poorly. I think he's going to do a disservice to the thing. Now, he, of course, can do whatever he wants, but I just think it's a bad strategy. I think you're much better off going into the Republican debates, frankly.
That's interesting.
Because it's the Republican Party, right? Like, who's the biggest impediment to this? If he's just going out there to try and get converts, how many converts is he going to get in that debate?
That's an interesting question.
Because he's just basically, I mean, if he wants to look for converts, he should run in the Republican race, not hurt any of the chances of a candidate who's actually supportive of his agenda, and get the converts there.
That sounds like that might be a better plan. Thank you, Sam.
I appreciate the call.